If you happen to live a very long time, it's possible that you might get back a lot more money from the insurance company than you've given them. If you turn your money over to them and they didn't pay you any interest, and let's just say they're paying you out 5% a year, well, it's going to take you 20 years for you to get back all your money. They're just paying you with your own money for the first 20 years. Once you get past that, now they're starting to pay you with their money. So for it to really work, you'd have to at least live beyond the period that it would take you to get back your money.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. This week, we're going to talk about annuities and whether you should buy an annuity before you retire or during retirement. In recent weeks, I've started to see a lot more annuity advertisements, and you maybe even notice when the stock market's going down, you start to see a lot more annuity advertisements because annuities are generally sold, they're not bought. And what usually drives people to buy them is fear. Fear that your investment portfolio could be gone due to losses, or fear that you're going to outlive your money. So before you go ahead and purchase an annuity, let's talk about how annuities work and the pros and cons so that you can be educated about what's out there for you. So there are really four main types of annuities that you could purchase, and I will list these in degree of risk. So there's something called a single premium immediate annuity, or a SPIA. There's also a fixed annuity. There's an indexed annuity, and there's a variable annuity. We're going to go through all four of these and how they work. So a SPIA, or single premium immediate annuity, is where you turn a certain amount of money over to an insurance company. This could be through your 401k. It could be money that you take out of your savings, and you hand this money over to them as a lump sum, and the insurance company then agrees to give you a certain amount of money either on a monthly basis or an annual basis. So it's a way that if you're concerned about outliving your money, you could give your money to the insurance company, and as long as you are alive, they have to keep paying you. If you buy one of these as a single individual, they pay you out this money for the rest of your life. When you pass away, generally no money goes to your beneficiaries. If you're a married couple and you buy one of these, they pay you out as long as you or your spouse are alive. But when both of you are passed away, then also generally no money goes to your beneficiaries. You can buy one of these that has a period certain attached to it. Let's just say a 20-year period certain. And if you don't receive 20 years of payments, you can designate someone to receive the remaining years of payments. Let's say you live 15 years and pass away. So there's 5 years left, so your beneficiary would get the remaining 5 years of payments. But by buying one of these that has a period certain benefit to it, it also reduces what the payout would be by buying one that doesn't have a period certain payout. So how could this benefit you? Well, if you happen to live a very long time, it's possible that you might get back a lot more money from the insurance company than you've given them. So if you think about it, if you turn your money over to them and they didn't pay you any interest, and let's just say they're paying you out 5% a year, well, it's going to take you 20 years for you to get back all your money. They're just paying you with your own money for the first 20 years. Once you get past that, now they're starting to pay you with their money. So for it to really work, you'd have to at least live beyond the period that it would take you to get back your money. Now, all insurance companies pay you some interest. The interest that you get is dependent upon where interest rates are at the time when you buy the annuity. And currently, interest rates are extremely low. So you're not getting a very high payout on the money that you're giving them. So the best time to buy one of these when interest rates are high, and then in the future have interest rates go low. Now, most of us don't have a crystal ball, so it's really hard to do that. But one thing we do know is that interest rates are very low right now. So it's probably not the best time to buy one of these, being that you're locking in at a very low interest rate. So for comparison's sake, I went out and I attained a few quotes looking at what a 65-year-old married couple that are Connecticut residents might get, and also what a 65-year-old single female might be able to get. So for a 65-year-old married couple, if you turned over $300,000 to an insurance company, I'm not going to name which insurance company, but this was the best payout, you'd be able to receive $1,239 a month or $14,648 a year. So that equates to a 4.95% payout. In that case, it would take 20.48 years for you to get your money back. One of those individuals would need to live at least till that point. If both of them passed away, then the insurance company, before that 20 years happens, then the insurance company wins in that situation. If one of these people live to be 95 or 100 and live 30 years plus, then they win by getting more from the insurance company. For the example of the single female Connecticut resident, 65-year-old, that same $300,000 would buy a little bit more per month because you're only insuring one life, so you get a higher payout. You'd get $1,406 per month or $16,872 per year. So that works out to a 5.26% payout. So in this case, this individual would only have to live 17.8 years to get back their original investment. So living beyond that, obviously, they make out. So for this to really make sense, you'd probably have to be a very conservative individual who had longevity in their family, and you could pursue this strategy. Now, if you remember in episode 2, a retirement income strategy that works, I talked about another option with this, which is using a withdrawal strategy where you're building a portfolio that you leave invested, you draw out a certain amount of money, and if you don't take out more than is allowed based on your age, then you could essentially do the same thing. But the difference being is that you might end up having more money left over at the end, and you also might be able to increase your income down the road. So the issue with these immediate annuities are that your income is not increasing for inflation. This is a fixed payout. The companies do offer these, but if you do have an inflation rider built into this, let's say where your income goes up by 1% or 2% per year, your payout is going to go down because they have to pay you more money over time, so they're going to start paying you out less. So the next option for an annuity would be to buy a fixed annuity. And a fixed annuity works very similar to investing your money in a bond or a CD. The insurance company pays you a certain amount of interest for a fixed period of time based upon what you're looking for. For example, they could pay you 2% interest, let's say, for 3 years. Maybe they'd give you a little more interest if you went for a longer term, 5 years or 7 or even 10. And during that time, your money is essentially locked up. If you want to take out more than a certain amount that they allow you, then you're going to have to pay a penalty to get your money back. It's called the surrender charge. So because of that, you're able to get maybe a little better rate than you would on a CD, maybe a better rate than you could get on a corporate bond, but you don't have access to your money. So if you're a conservative person who's trying to do a little bit better than a bank could offer you, then maybe these are a fit for you. Or if you're looking to defer interest, because with a CD, if it's in a taxable account, anytime that you get income on that CD at the end of the year, you have to report the income and pay taxes on it. And rather than doing that, you could use the annuity for tax deferral. That is one benefit of the annuity, that it offers you tax deferral. So if you're normally in CDs, it could benefit you. The negative is that your money's locked up for a period of time. And also that if you try to take your investment gains out before age 59 and a half, if you're a younger individual, then you would have to pay taxes and or penalties by taking that out, because the annuity works similar to how a retirement account works as far as taking the money out. So the next level up from there would be what's called an indexed annuity, where the interest you receive each year is based on the performance of a corresponding index. There are many of these out there. They range from, company to company. But the way that the index works is that, let's just say the index that you chose was the S&P 500, and you're able to get 4% interest on your annuity if the index makes at least 4%. So you buy the annuity, your period would be for the next year. So on day one, the insurance company would look to see where the S&P 500 index was, what the value was. And then 365 days later, they look to see where the index is. And whatever that difference is, up to 4% is what you can receive of interest. If the index happened to make 20%, then you would only receive 4%. If the index happened to lose 20%, then usually you wouldn't lose anything. But if there are any fees in the annuity, any cost, then that would be deducted from your account. That would be the loss that you would have. These indexed annuities have the potential to generate more interest for you over time than a fixed annuity. Let's say, for example, the fixed annuity is paying a fixed rate of 2%, but the index could earn up to 4%. For you to get more interest out of the indexed annuity than the fixed annuity, for the most part, you'd probably have to hit the maximum interest cap every year. In my example, the 4% interest. And we all know that the stock market doesn't go up every year. So if you have a couple years in there where your index credit is less than 2%, or you have some zeros, you're probably going to have done better by being in the fixed annuity. A lot of times these annuities are misunderstood because people hear that it's tied to an index like the S&P 500, and they think it's an alternative to investing in the stock market. It's really not. It's completely different. The interest that you could earn is a lot less than you could make by just investing directly in the S&P 500 right in the stock market. The benefit that you get is that you don't have the downside that you have with the stock market. So if you, again, are a conservative investor and you're okay with maybe making 0 to 4% on your money, and you're okay with locking it up, because again, just like the fixed annuity, indexed annuities have a period where your money has to be tied up. They have a surrender period, and there could be additional costs with them. Then that's okay. But just be aware that it's not going to be what you would get in the stock market. So the next level up from there is a variable annuity. And a variable annuity works very similar to buying a mutual fund. Within the variable annuity, there are different investment options that you can choose from, and it depends on the company that you go with. There might be, a dozen investment options. There could be hundreds, and these investment options mirror similar mutual funds. So if you're looking for more upside than an indexed annuity or a fixed annuity could give you, then the variable annuity can make sense because you don't have the limitations that an indexed annuity has as far as your upside. But similar to investing in a mutual fund or in the stock market, you participate fully in the upside and the downside. So you do have more downside risk. Where one of these could be beneficial to you is that if you have money that's in another annuity, or if you're looking for tax deferral, this could be a good option for you because similar to a retirement account, the money that's inside of an annuity is tax deferred until you withdraw the money. You also don't have the limitation of contributions, whereas, for example, let's say you wanted to contribute money to a traditional IRA account, you can only put $7,000 into that if you're over 50. With an annuity of any type, there's no limitation. If you wanted to put $700,000 into an annuity, you could do it. But with these variable annuities, because you have more investment options, there's also more cost. And the cost is usually higher than it would be with an indexed annuity or the fixed annuity. These costs could be as high as 2.5% or 3%. So if you're buying one of these, you really want to find one of the lowest cost options out there, just like you would want to do if you were exploring mutual funds. And you also want to understand what surrender charge, or otherwise known as a period where your money is tied up, might apply to these as well, because just like indexed annuities and fixed annuities, there's a surrender charge. Some of these have a surrender charge, some of them don't have any. There are some of these that are sold without surrender charge and lower costs. Generally, you're going to find those from a fee-only advisor such as myself has access to these. And companies recently have begun to offer more of these that don't have surrender charges in them because they recognize that people are interested in them, but they don't like the trade-off that their money is tied up for 5 or 7 or maybe even 10 years. There's also other features that either an indexed annuity or a variable annuity could offer. Some of them are known as death benefits, where you could get a certain guarantee that's paid out to you. For example, if you put in $100,000 into a variable annuity and it had decline to $50,000 because the investments had gone down and you had a death benefit and you passed away, your family would get back what you initially invested, $100,000. So that is an option that some of these offer. Some of them also have what's known as an enhanced death benefit, where you get a certain amount of increase on your death benefit per year. Same example, you put in $100,000 and every year that you live, maybe your death benefit grows by 3% or 4%. So that if 10 years later you pass away and it's growing at 4%, $140,000 would go to your beneficiaries instead of $100,000 or $50,000, whatever it was worth. But these can get complicated, and these annuities can be very complicated. And that's one of the criticisms that there are of them, is that there's a lot of moving parts and it's hard to understand. A lot of times you'll understand it when you buy it, but then you'll forget, and 5 years later you won't really remember how it works. So you need to be aware of the complexity of these. And there's another benefit that's newer in the last 15 years that is called the living benefit. And with this benefit, the nice thing is that you don't have to die for you to enjoy it. Similar to the single premium immediate annuity, you get a certain payout from the insurance company without having to annuitize. And these range across the board. It depends on how old you are, whether or not you buy a single benefit or a joint benefit, and what state you live in, because these rates are per state, and also the time that you buy it. With interest rates being lower, these payouts have gone down. But you might be able to get a payout of 3.5% to 5% and without having to annuitize or give up control of the principal, which is what you do when you annuitize. But as I mentioned before about the cost, you're having to pay for this. The insurance company doesn't give this to you for free. So this adds another layer of cost to your indexed annuity or to your variable annuity. And it could add another 1% or 1.5% of cost. So let's just say that you were looking to do this with a variable annuity. Your cost would probably be approaching 2.5%, 3% if you were able to find a lower priced one of these options. If you went with a higher priced option because you just didn't really know, you might be paying 3.5% or 4%. So let's just say with this, you were able to get a higher payout than you could with the SPIA annuity. And you were hoping that over time, your income from this annuity would go up. And let's say, for example, you were able to average a 6% return and you're taking out 5%, so that leaves 1% behind. The problem is that these additional fees that you're paying of 2.5% to 3% or more a year eat away at your principal every year, and it makes it very, very hard for your income ever to go up. And just like with the SPIA, where I quoted it taking either 17 to 20 years for you to get back your money, the same thing is true with one of these living benefits with either an indexed annuity or a variable annuity. For the initial however many years, 18 to 20 years, the insurance company is just paying you with your own money. And you're paying them a lot in fees, 2.5% to 3% or more, that they're taking out of your investment portfolio every year. So rather than doing that, I'm more of a fan of going with one of the withdrawal strategies that I mentioned in episode 2, either the 4% withdrawal strategy or the Guyton guardrail strategy, and using a portfolio of low-cost index funds, because you're eliminating 2%, maybe 2.5% of fees that are being taken out of your investment account. And rather than that going to the insurance company, that goes in your pocket, where that can help you to increase your income down the road, or it could help you to leave more money behind for your beneficiaries. So before you let fear drive you to purchase one of these annuities, make sure that you really understand all the costs and all the pros and cons and make sure it's the right thing for you. And also, I advocate getting advice from someone like myself who's a fiduciary, who's a fee-only planner, rather than working with a broker. Because what I've seen is that most annuities are really sold by brokers, and because of the high commissions that they can pay, and they're not sold for the right reasons, being that it's appropriate for the client. A lot of the fees that you will be paying are not disclosed and laid out in black and white to you. As I said before, annuities are very complicated, so make sure that you understand all the fine print in them. And if you are going to buy an annuity, also investigate the financial strength of the annuity company that you're dealing with. and deal with a highly rated insurance company, because that'll eliminate any problems down the road of the insurance company having problems paying the claims to you. It could also be a good idea, if you have an old annuity that you haven't reviewed in a while, to have it analyzed to see if it still makes sense for you to keep it. And there might also be an opportunity to reduce some cost, either with a lower cost annuity or maybe an investment strategy that doesn't use an annuity at all. I hope you found this episode beneficial. And if you didn't listen to episode 2, I suggest you go back and listen to that. Also, my retirement planning workshop are beginning October 6th. There's 4 dates that you can select from. If you're interested, you can go to my website, retirewithryan.com, and sign up from there. These will be done virtually over Zoom, and have a great week. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.